Hello everyone and welcome to the second webinar of this week. Today we will present to you a very interesting product powered by Shelly, the FrankEver Smart Sprinkler Controller. Today we are joined also by Andrew, who is the product manager of this device, and he will walk us through its feature specific, and we will have a demo session. At the end we will open the Q&A, so feel free to add all your questions to the chat throughout the presentation. But other than that, I'm just going to step aside now and let Andrew to take over the presentation.
Thank you for the kind introduction, Shania. Hello everyone, and thank you for watching us today. As Shania said, today we're going to take a look on the latest addition within the product family of Powered by Shelly devices. And as the name suggests, today we're going to take a look on our sprinkler controller, or FrankEver's Smart Sprinkler Controller. But what is it and what does it do? The FrankEver Smart Sprinkler Controller is essentially a device designed to help you to maximize your irrigation potential and to minimize the downtime and the lose time of your efforts. With 6 independent zones and the precise smart capabilities added by Shelly as a Powered by Shelly device, you're able to keep your irrigation system under control all the time from wherever you need it. The device is based on most of the standard Shelly features that you already know, that we're gonna discuss in a minute. But before that, I want to talk about something which is very important: the simplicity and the efficiency of the hardware. If you allow me, I would like to pay attention before going to the key features which you're going to see on the screen of what you get when you get the irrigation controller. When you get the device, you're getting all of the essential things that you need to get started and to work with the hardware. You're getting the main controller, which we can see here. You're getting a power adapter that helps you to connect the device straight away to your grid and minimize the installation time. You're getting accessories such the COM terminals and some mounting tools as well. And of course, you're getting the most important thing, the Get Started guide, which you have to read in order to be familiar with the hardware. But if you don't want to read the Get Started guide and you want to be familiar with the hardware, I'll be able to do a quick tour of that in a second. I took the liberty before the presentation to mount one of our power supplies at the office so I can power the controller and I can walk you through its hardware capabilities. If you give me a second, I'll do that for you. So, as I said, essentially the device is designed to offer precise control over multi-zones of your irrigation system, your garden, your front yard, backyard, and wherever you need it. But the key thing here, which I believe that it's a great feature, it's how effective and simple you can be with it. So on the hardware side, you're not having any burdens or whatsoever. You have the main unit, which is the controller. You have signal LEDs for indication, which allows you to see if you're powered on, if you're connected to the internet, and which of your zones are being on or off at the moment. You have a couple of front panel controls for standalone operationability, which allows you to decide to control the irrigation from the hardware itself without touching the app if you're nearby. And the main thing that you need to get your device set up are the connection terminals. The connection terminals are self-explained because they are labeled on the bottom, and usually they are very easy to assemble. They allow you to basically install your valves into the very standard way by plugging the connection cables of the AC of the valves straight to the device, which I'll demonstrate for the purpose of this presentation. So, let's say that we just purchased the hardware. We know very little about irrigation and someone set us our valves at our house. We have the connection wires, but what to do with them? If you have the FrankEver controller, the things are fairly simple. You have to have your valves connected to one of the main outputs, which are from 1 to 6. the connection is done with push of the connection here. Then you insert, you release, and the next thing is to connect the other end of the valve, because you have a two-way cable, to the common terminal, which is to close the circuit. Once you connect this, excuse me, it's a little bit difficult from here. Once you connect that, you will be able to fully utilize the valve, and you can actually start your irrigation. So what does this mean? It means that if you're very handy, like in most cases, you'll be able to connect this valve to the controller for less than 10 minutes. It doesn't require any special knowledge, or it doesn't require any wiring, which we would need special expertise to be applied. As you know, I'm not an expert in the gardening, but I'm able to assemble and to mount this fairly quickly. Once you have this set up, in theory, if we have water here, if we have some kind of irrigation need, I can simply select the zone and I can start the irrigation. And with the button here, which is left and right or up and down depending how you see it, you'll be able to select your zone and start it. When you press, you select the zone. When you press on the start button, you're able to enable the controller, and this can be repeated through the multiple zones, or if you like, you can enable all of them with press and hold as well, as I have just done. Other than that, the operation of the hardware is completed. Basically, you do not need anything else. You can enable, disable the zones, or you can choose to engage one of them or two of them. And this is why I said the device is fairly simple yet efficient, because the hardware allows you to skip trace and or basically to focus on the most important task, which is to complete your job, your irrigation at the moment that you want to do so. But apart from that, apart from the hardware, what makes this device special is the Powered by Shelly functionalities. As I said, all inherited Powered by Shelly capabilities from the already established devices from the Shelly portfolio. What this means that the device is Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. There is no hub required for this device. You may choose to control this device from the embedded web, as this is supported direct control on the device, or from the app, which I will show you in a second. You have advanced scheduling and sequencing, which is, I think, the key feature of this device. And then you have a weather information API, which I think that it's quite helpful, to be honest, for the people that cannot accurately set up their irrigation zones. I mean, this is something that all of us can benefit, and it's always helpful if you need it. But if you don't need it, the weather API can be turned off. Apart from that, all these, how can I say it? All these features are coming with the broad compatibility, which is due to the 24 volts AC outputs that the controller has, which means that it's easily configurable and compatible with different valves from the market, even the standard ones that I have at the moment. So this also makes it suitable for bundling or no bundling solutions out there. But apart from the hardware and the Powered by Shelly, Powered by Shelly capabilities, there is one essential thing that you need to know. It's a Powered by Shelly device, and as such, you need to somehow control it, and you need to somehow connect it. You can control it and add it to the app using the same techniques or inclusion method as every normal Shelly device. You have to take out your phone, add the device via Bluetooth, which is the easiest way. The system will recognize the irrigation controller. You may select from there, and once this is done, you will be able to have your device seen and available into the Shelly app that I'm about to show you in a minute. But before that, the use cases. The device is, how can I say it, very suitable for lawn care, garden care, of different yard irrigations, and even a flowering care, because you'll be able to easily distinguish between your different zones and between how much water you want to give them to. And also a very interesting story about this device is that the device is newly released, but a colleague of ours just mentioned that this is the first year that he is using this type of the device, and his garden is actually in spotless situation, because it's not overburnt, or there is no issues with being overwatery or whatsoever. So advanced API, advanced weather API settings and the right irrigation helped to achieve that. But maybe you're wondering how, and I'm about to show you now. If you allow me, I'm gonna cycle through our control app and our dashboard for the smart sprinkler controller, which I did included the device before the show due to the connectivity in the room. Sometimes we need to pre-configure these devices, but the inclusion is all the same. Now, what we're seeing here at the moment, is important to know that this is a brand new device scene. Basically, you're seeing that the device was just added to your Shelly app. It's like brand new, out of the box, configured. So once you add this and you don't know where to start, or let's say you were not able to read the literature, or you didn't pay attention to the information on the website, our app team did a great job by adding a quick start information. So the quick start information, there is a quick start tour guide here, which allows you to read more, or to read in-depth information for the zones features, sequences features, and weathers features, which is essentially the main building blocks of what the device represents. The zones are essentially the 6 outputs here, which you configure independently, and you can name them after different zones of your irrigation. You can adjust the precipitation or the watering amount and the time amount. Then you have the sequences, which I believe that this is the most used feature for this device, because the sequence helps you to automate everything in the right order, and the sequence helps you to balance out if you have any waterfall issues, which I'll show you in a minute. And then, of course, you have the weather API, which will guide you and help you through different scenarios. Let's say if the weather sometimes is too hot or a heat wave kicks in. And we're about to I'm about to show you now how to do all of these things. But first things first, I'm happy with what I have read. I can close this, and basically I am able to see my main dashboard of the device. This means that the device has been configured and it's ready to use. For the purpose of this demonstration, I have named some zones already, which I will show you how to do in a second, and we can continue. Now, let's say that we have named our zones and we are back to the dashboard. Or by default, the zones are as seen: zone 5, zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5, zone 6. Or depending on how many zones you have. In this controller, we have 6, okay? If I want to rename my zones, as I just did in a second, I can go to my zone tab, which is here, and I can configure them from my settings button. Of course, you have a name, you have duration, and you have water amount, which are extremely important, because this is the founding settings of your irrigation controller. And of course, the best thing for us to know is that when operating with an irrigation system or irrigation controller, it's better for us to know our water flow amounts and to know what our valves are capable to output in terms of water for the best settings here. Other than that, there isn't any additional settings that you have to apply. The next thing that you have to do is to enable the smart functionalities is to follow the guide, which is again the walkthrough guide, the quick start guide that I have just mentioned. There is a sequence tab. A sequence is essentially the key feature that I was telling you about. A sequence, imagine it as a sequence as the place where you will mostly go when you want to set up everything, and then when you want to leave it as it is for throughout out of the year, because the sequence will be allowing you to get all the zones in one place and to tell which zone you would like to irrigate first, second, third, and so on, so forth. So if we're able to open the sequence tab to see how I configure my morning refresh zone, because usually the best time from the rules of thumb is to water your lawns or your landscape in the morning, let's say morning refresh before we leave to work. We can see that, let's say I have the front yard, backyard, and the rose garden. This is my sequence. The sequence is created by the zones, and altogether you have this kind of a automation, which you can say, but not the automation in terms of timing or schedule, the automation in terms of execution, in terms of how this device will start watering. So my morning refresh will be front yard, backyard, and then rose garden. Of course, all of them may require a different watering needs, which I have configured into the zones tab. But let's say I have a how can I say it? I have a water limitation, or I have something which disrupts me to start watering all of the zones, and I have to start only by 2. By enabling the schedule and by fixing the zones limit, because the irrigation controller can allow you to say how many concurrent active zones can be watered at once in order to save water, to be friendly and to be efficient, you can actually help the sequence to achieve that. So now, by theory, you have 3 zones in the sequence. In practice, you have a water limit. In reality, you have a perfectly watered length, one shaft throughout your house by utilizing this from the sequence. What will happen? If I start the sequence here, and if I go here, I have to wait, and then you'll see what's happening. This is the basic and the most important thing of the irrigation controller. The sequence is starting, you have the front yard, you have the backyard, then you have the rose garden. As you can see here, we have the watering times on the first and the second zone and the timer, which counts down that the irrigation started and that it's in progress. Once it finishes, the schedule and the sequence actually will move to the rest of the available zones that are, in our case, zone 3, which is rose garden, or it can be zone 3 and 4, zone 4 and 5, depending of what our sequence is saying. And for some reason, if let's say this is not enough, or we decide to stop it, first we will be prompted by messaging saying that there is something active at the moment. Do we want to stop it? So we can say yes, we would like, and now, as you can see, I have stopped one of the zones, the second one is going, and the third one started. This is, how can I say, segmented watering, in the way that you can stop all of the sequences at once from the top, or you can stop a zone within the sequence, and then the irrigation controller converts basically moves over to the one available from the sequence. Of course, as I said, if I stop here, everything will be stopped, everything will be shut off. But if I want, let's say, to add a little bit more, or I'm out, I don't like what are the results, I can start it all the time manually from my triggers here. And of course, this is all time available. The sequence info box at the moment alerts you that there is no active sequence, so you can always know that if you want to do a sequencing and you haven't started, this will be alerted. But as I said, sometimes we cannot prevent the weather. Sometimes we cannot forecast right. That's why it's great to have a helper. The helper here would be our weather API. Essentially, without all the difficulties in the world, what is the weather API? The weather API is a backend process which helps you to add or subtract watering amount on the right zone or sequence. The weather API takes care to look at the data for the last 24 hours, and based on that, or based on the precipitation and the temperatures and everything else, it calculates whether or not to increase the irrigation or to decrease it. Nothing else is actually important than its efficiency. How it works and why it's made of. It's made of to help us to go over difficult scenarios or times when we're not here, which will be able to be guided by the weather API that we have and we use. If I enable it, that's the only thing that I have to do. Now I have to wait until the settings are applied. Once this is done, I can go here, and now I have the weather information on the top. Based on that, and based on the settings that we already pre-filled during our setup, which is on the zones, as I said, we will be able to precisely tell the weather API, and then the weather API will be able to sync with the hardware and with the powered by Shelly functionalities how to actually increase or decrease the irrigation on it. So I can, from my end, I can say that this is a great helper, essentially, because it's not overriding your settings. It's not too difficult to use, but it's always there, and you can always shut it off, as every other Shelly functionalities. As I said, the device itself features the standard Shelly settings, as you can see here. Two things that are not supported at the moment with the powered by Shelly devices are the scripts and the virtual components, which we believe, and we're trying our best to make them available in the future releases of the firmwares. But apart from that, you will be able to do actions, schedules, of course, as you normally do. You will be able to use the embedded web or the app, or you'll be able to be also completely offline of the cloud. Apart from that, you can rely on our statistics, which is here, and which gives you an accurate data to rely on over a long period of time. And we're working on some behind-the-scenes improvements to make these things even more accurate, with more precise weather allocation on the spot of your house, and adding more statistics here, and of course compatibility with more devices. As a new powered by Shelly device, this is very interesting for us to basically load all the Shelly capabilities within a device which is not a standard Shelly device. It's not a relay, it's not a metering device, it's not a device made for electricity, but it's a device created to save the user time. It's a device which is created to basically get you where you want it to be without overburdening for the unnecessary features or complexities. For example, there are much more feature-heavy irrigation controllers on the market, but I would say that some people will just need that to connect their watering system and source, to set up a few zones, to have the weather API controlling and helping them, and to set up a good sequence, which will first do the job right, and second, save you the water if you have water limitations. And as it's the end of the season, now it's a very interesting time to upgrade or decide whether or not this product is right for you. And the product essentially is available on the market. It's not a device to be released, it's available. So it's worth considering it there. Apart from that, we will stay committed to release more UI and app updates as soon as possible to make even the experience greater and easier, as shown here. And we'll do our best to also strengthen and to improve the compatibility internally within the Shelly family. It's one very important thing. This is not, as many people are confused, this is not a Shelly device. It's a co-partner device. It's a device which we co-partner with another brand. In that case, it's the second device from the FrankEver partners, which we're very happy to work with. And our mission, continuing with the Powered by Shelly device, will be to deliver more sustainable and more easy to use but yet efficient devices throughout the Shelly area, which can actually benefit from the Shelly features as well. Because at the end, we would like to create a safer and, how can I say, a smoother, safer IoT community of devices for our portfolio to join in. Thank you so much for watching this short demonstration. I'm hoping that I was able to do an overview of what the smart Wi-Fi controller is and how it's used. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Andrew, for walking us through the presentation and the demo. It was very interesting. And this is actually second FrankEver product that you are releasing to the market,
yes.
right?
Yes, the first one was the water valve.
Exactly.
This is the irrigation controller.
Okay,
yeah.
Perfect. Very exciting. Okay, so we do have some questions in the chat. Let's go forward. Some of our colleagues are also answering. Thank you very much, Chris, for your answer. Okay, the first question. Can you use the weather API together with the weather station?
No, not yet.
Not yet, is the short answer.
Yes.
Okay. Just a second, let me go to the next one. Can I combine one zone with the motion detection, for example, with the Shelly Blue motion? At
the moment, the Powered by Shelly devices do carry one limitation that they're not able to work with the BT components, but we're planning to fix this in near future, so most probably it will be, it may happen. Of course, I will not commit to that 100% without consulting with the developers, but whatever we can do to make this available, we'll do it. Because it's a nice suggestion, actually.
Okay, so...
Not at the moment. No,
not at the moment. Okay. Let me go to the next one. If we have 3 zones, but one needs all the water, other 2 can be used together, can we set up that end to prevent zone 1 to be used with zone 2 and 3?
Interesting question. If we have 3 zones and the first one needs all the water, and I'm not sure that you can dynamically allocate this in the sense that our customer is asking, but what you could do is set the concurrent zones, limit the concurrent zones, start with the one that needs more water, and then switch to the other one. Or maybe you can create an additional action to stop the zones that you don't need, so you can actually achieve it. But there is no dynamic allocation of the water per the zones when the sequence is starting. The allocation is based on how many concurrent zones are working, and usually the logic is that it starts with the first 2. So I would say that if you experiment more, probably you'll be able to make it, but it's not right out of the box solution.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. Next question is there an explanation somewhere on all the icon and settings? I have the sequence, and when it runs, the remaining ones are unscheduled.
There will be additional there will be additional updates and explanations in near future. What we will do is, because the device comes with the printed user manual, we're going to do our best to update this online and to feature all the explanations that you may need to understand the device better.
Okay, perfect. However, I have 5 components. It's 6 minutes. Okay, the user is adding extra explanation. If BT home components are not active, is it possible to build it as unseen in Shelly Cloud?
I cannot answer this question at the moment. I have to check, and most probably if you give me the details of the user, I'll be able to get back to that.
I can see the team is answering in the chat as well, so if you have right away the answer, please just answer the question.
I don't think that, yeah.
Perfect. We don't have anything else. Regarding the combination with motion sensing, yeah, Ruslan is just adding up to the question with the motion sensor. Okay, we will enable the support. Okay, the team is answering. Perfect. We don't have any other questions.
Right.
Feel free to add your questions. We will just stay here for one more minute. If not, on Monday we will upload this webinar in our Shelly YouTube channel, Shelly Academy. So you can use it for future reference or share it with someone else for reference. We will announce the webinar through Facebook community, the recording upload through Facebook community. Also, the recording from Teams will be available in the registration links that you use to register to this webinar. And one last question, what is the MSRP or cost of the device?
Thank you for the question. The MSRP without the VAT is 95 euros. The device is, depending on the different VAT regions, it's around 110, 150 to 120 euros.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Okay, that's the last question. If you have anything else in mind to share, and if you want to share,
yes, I would like to share something which is again on the Powered by Shelly line and what we do. As this is something which is quite similar to what Shelly does with its standard device and portfolio. As I said, we do carry some limitations which we know and we are working to fix. But sometimes some things are very difficult to achieve from the first time, so we just need more time. And essentially by long run, in future, these devices should not be any different in terms of the compatibility or pairing, or let's say adding BT component devices or making more elaborative setups and connections than the other Shelly devices. So we do think we will be very thankful for all of the difficult and, how can I say, advanced setups that we can receive, so we can actually build upon that. And by doing this, we'll be able to showcase the market that every device which doesn't have the smart functionality can be enhanced right out of the box with Shelly features as a Powered by Shelly device.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that this is something to fix, but it's
not a fix.
The products and the brand is building up, so it's developing, and it will develop more and more.
It's not a fix. Yeah, with the Powered by Shelly devices, we're not controlling some of the things. So we have to rely on our partners. There are different things in terms of how these things are built and how development is going. So it's a different process to engage and to work with compared to the Shelly devices.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Andrei, for your time and
thank you everyone
for joining the Shelly streaming room. Everyone, thank you very much. Thank you very much for being here. I just mentioned about the recording, so you know. See you on the next one.
Thank you.